Quite a lot going on in the papers this morning and quite a lot to talk about this new year. And we'll start that conversation immediately. Joining us in the studio, let me start off with High Chief Peter Ahmed, the National Secretary of Coalition of United Political Parties, CUPP. Thank you so much for being with us on the program.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
And we have the Presidential Media Aide, Mr. Daniel Bwala, joining us via Zoom. Thank you so much for being with us this morning. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Good morning.
So let's start the conversation with the President's New Year message. I'm going to start off with Mr. Ahmed. So a year of prosperity and a lot of hope we keep hearing from the President. Hopeful, hopeful, hopeful. And that is, even in church yesterday, that was a lot of the messages that we were getting, because we are at a point where we do have to hold on to hope, especially when there is, in your mind, no hope to speak of. You have to hold on to something. Is that what's going on here, or should we be practical in how this year is going to run?
No, sincerely, we should be practical in how this year is going to run. We should rely more on practical solutions to our problems, because the 2024 year was a very harsh one for our people. The poverty level, skyrocketed, because of the impulsive and irrational decisions, policy-making processes, even processed by the president. And you saw that a lot of people, you can't even hide it. It's obvious on the faces of people as you walk on the street that this country is not working and things are not working well. And when you go to presidential media chat with softball discussions without presenting the data, the information that is at the public domain. If you talk about when the president said that in the last one that corruption cannot be, it was a wrong perception, because the data in the public today is Nigeria is 146 against 180 countries in the corruption perception index. When it comes to the human development index, Nigeria is 146, we are 140 something over 189. So we don't have a situation where we have 39.6 million hectares of land to farm. When the president had made promise when he got into office that he will be tilling over 500 hectares of land yearly, he had never done that. It is more talk with no action, and that has cost our people more poverty, more pain. And looking at 56% of our population is living below poverty line. That's about 129 million people. You are looking at statistics that are very, very, scary.
Yeah.
That we are not sitting down and the president is not looking at figures, and they are bringing rhetorics and talking about people driving Rolls-Royce and now driving Camry. What about the people who were driving Camry before? What are they driving now? What about these who are driving bicycles? What are they driving now? So it's a cascading thing. If you say that means the poverty level has really hit it deep into the fabric of the masses.
Well, let's talk to Mr. Bwala about that. You've heard what Mr. Peter Ahmed had to say. He believes that we need to be a bit more practical. The president, he says, needs to be a bit more practical. Is that the case? Or is there an understanding we don't have, Mr. Bwala? Oh, I think we've lost the connection to him. I hope we get him back real shortly. But, that's a very interesting dynamic, when it comes to the conversations about how 2024 has been and how we should be viewing 2025. But, he did say also we should not spend the whole of 2025 lamenting. Maybe we should start thinking about some actions that we can take, even as people. Isn't that some way, some move in the right direction?
Everybody gives hope. The churches are giving hope already. The religious centers are giving hope already. The work of the president is to come and solve our problems. He was outside the campaign, he canvassed, he talked to people that he knew, he is aware of the solution, the problem confronting this country. And you are compounding it. In the last 20 months, Nigerian debt servicing has risen from 87 trillion to 130-something trillion. So we cannot continue to have more talk, and there are no action. For me, the president is not putting his data card on the table properly, and he's not thinking that Nigerians are the major reason why he's in government, because he has been talking as if we're all about complaining. Nigerians are complaining. Nigerians are, but the things are hard. The economy is not helping issue.
Well, he said he's going to help. I'm going to look at his New Year message. As we enter 2025, I wish everyone a happy and prosperous new year, he says. And then he also goes on to say that in this new year, my administration will further consolidate and increase access to credit for individuals and critical sectors of the economy to boost national economic output. And he says to achieve this, the federal government will establish the National Credit Guarantee Company to expand risk-sharing instruments for financial institutions and enterprises. That is something.
You see, for me, for us and a lot of Nigerians, I keep on telling you, it's not about continue to to expand government, and create more bureaucratic bottlenecks that make government, the vehicle for running government become more difficult. There are already agencies that have started, like when the livestock ministry was created, that can also work very well if the president is determined to make sure things work. The president should concentrate on making sure that there's food on the table of the masses. Those who are the lowest half of our population, those who have been captured as one of the 129 million people living below poverty line. You can work a system from just reading papers and reading documents. It is the same president that is reading this that talked about the CNG. That we're going to roll out buses. There are no buses anywhere till today. It's the same president that is talking about this.
I saw a little bit of a rollout here in Abuja. I saw governors. I saw in Oyo. I saw some governors rolling out some CNG buses. In Abuja, there's one that runs from Suleja to
Federal Secretariat. One. You have to look at the ratio to the population. We're looking at, if you really want to do something, we don't do cosmetic, when it comes to solution finding process. You have to be holistic in your decision. First of all, I had a problem with the fuel subsidy removal process, the procedure, not the removal per se, because there was corruption, nothing was dealt, nothing happened to the corruption in that system. People left with their money, left with the lies, and left with the fraud, and that nothing happened to be able to solve that problem. Then there was also an issue of a process of starting in a way that that you would have eased it up and provide the solutions before you come with the problem. The people went into hunger. Transportation costs went by 300%. Immediately the president announced the removal of subsidy. So these are the issues. It is this impulsive nature and this irrational nature of policy creating implementation announcement process for the president that have even compounded our problem. We're not saying that you wouldn't do anything. We're wishing this country well, because this country, we love this country, we live in this country. We want to be able to give hope. But the job of the president is beyond hope. It's also attached with action and result. That the promises you have made, like promises of tilling 500,000 of arable land. That would have brought the price of food inflation that is over 40% down. That would have helped the country.
I want to talk, because I know you do have to go catch your flight real soon, so I'm going to toss it to Ayo so he can ask you a few questions before we let you go. Ayo.
Hela, sir, one of the issues that anyone would be asking you is whether or not this is not just all political talk. Whether or not, you don't see any progress that has been made, because it is in the nature of politicians to do all the talking just to get all the sound bites. Even the president, in one of the headlines that we read this morning, he said that we should be wary of politicians. So is this all political talk for you?
No, if it is all political talk, I won't be reading out statistics, because data is very important when you come to public management of our public resources and government. And I'm telling you that in the last 20 months alone, the debt statistics have risen to 137 trillion. It's something that should worry all of us, not only just people in opposition. The fact is that we want to see the president work. We want to see him do work that will benefit the life of the masses. Because if the top echelon of the society gets to benefit from the public wealth, and you go to rural community, I think one of the things the president aid should do and the fourth SRM should do is that the president should engage the rural ungoverned communities more and see the level of poverty that
should that be the responsibility? Should that be the responsibility of the president or the responsibility of the state governors? If we expect that the president should go to all local governments, are we giving the governors a slap on the wrist? Are we giving them an excuse to step away and do nothing?
If you know me very well, I've always talked about governors have been the weakest link in our political and governance system, because governors are just like they believe in the feeding bottle arrangement, like a feeder pillar thing, comes every end of the month, collects money. There are a lot of governors are actually now doing a lot of work to change that, to try to improve that. But the buck stops at the table of the government. We have a central governance system, the federating unit. You look at Bala Mohammed speaking on television yesterday and saying that he has been struggling to meet a federal agency so that they can do something to help his state, and it has been very difficult. You have that situation that we have a very tight-fisted control by those who are at the federal level. We have a federating unit that you have state, local government, and federal. But the fact is that our system, that's why people have advocated for more devolution of power. Yes, the state government have problem. The local government problem is being solved gradually when they start to get their direct line charge from the federation account. But all in all, there are certain policies that are taken by the federal government that affects everyone that lives within the territorial integrity.
I do get that message, Mr. Ame, but I still ask the question again. Whether or not, because if we are saying that it's got to be the president, it's got to be the federal government all of the time, it will sound like there is no power for any state government to do anything. For instance, the Electricity Act already empowered state governments to create their own electricity. They are at liberty to do that. And a number of other things have been devolved to them. For a very long time, it was a struggle to get state governments to allow the constitution to function optimally as it should by allowing the local government administrations to perform. If the local governments were doing exactly as they should, receiving their funds and activating development at their own levels, the people on the ground in the local governments will feel it. This is not absolving the federal government. This is just saying the powers have been devolved according to the constitution. Why are we having issues at that level? Why does everything have to be about the president?
I've done extensive work with the local government system, and I know you received some of my messages. When it comes to the financial autonomy, it is Section 162 that now has taken away the state and local government joint account that has been a thorn in the flesh of the local government getting their finances. But Section 197 that controls the CX that are like toothless bulldog that are ineffective in the management of electoral system in the state. When I ask people questions, I say, how many electoral agencies do you have in Nigeria? People say, no, one. It's not one. We have in each state, federal independent federal state electoral agency, then we have one federal, and these people are all autonomous. They have authority, they have independence, and they are all now in the wings of the governor of the state that are manipulating them because we have a weak state assembly system. The weak state assembly system is actually more of a problem than even the local government and the state government, because the state assembly are supposed to be supervising the governor. They are supposed to be in charge of the governor. The governor can't approve budget. The governor can't do project. They are supposed to supervise it, but those ones are nowhere to be found. And most of the state budget that has been signed today were signed with less than 48 hours being presented. So we have a problem there that we are discussing. But what we came today to do is to look at holistically the data that is before the public, the statistics that is beyond the international community, and how the present perception or his attitude or body language towards this data worsens situation further. You know, when you ask a president, now what do you talk about corruption? I say, no, everywhere there's corruption. Corruption is everywhere. No, it's the number one image maker for this country. And when you have a corruption perception index that you are running 180 to 140 something, then you must be able to talk tough. Is that talking tough that also help matters? If you look at countries like Singapore, like South Korea, that have almost eliminated corruption in their system, it's because governance system also work. You don't have a governance system now where the president runs on convoy of over 100 vehicles. We buy vehicles for the presidency almost every year. We have a reputation of utensils that we buy every year. We have a line item in our budget that is embarrassing and shameful. If we want to progress, we have to have a costing measure to be able to cut down the cost of government first, and then block leakages and loopholes. If we do these two things and marry them together effectively, then we will have a future for our next generation.
I know that if we continue this conversation, we will not end, but we will have you back again so we can have more of this conversation on the plans for 2025. But I want to thank you so much, Mr. Peter Ame.
Thank you.
And I know you're going on a trip. Right now, I saw your principal really this morning was at an IDP camp as he finished from there.
No, I was there too with him.
You were there with him?
Yeah.
Well, our greetings to him and to everyone. Thank you so much, Mr. Peter Ame, for being with us on the program, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to Nigerians and you too.